Check, check, check. Yeah, girl, we are not going to be having any audio issues this week. I learned my lesson last week. Um, what are you going to do? Anyway, hello and welcome back to another episode of Insufferable with me, your host, Lindsay Howe. Episode 42. That is almost 52. If you do the math, it is almost 52. We're about 10 away, or exactly 10 away, which means that'll be a year with the Insufferable podcast, which is insufferable in itself, and I am sorry, but if you're tuning in, you like this type of shit, and so I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize for it. Sorry. Who says that? Michael Scott. Anyway, Frank, go ahead and lay down somewhere. Do your thing. Lay down. Get in your designated spot or whatever. As he must. Anyway, how's everyone doing? I hope you've had a wonderful week. Spring is about to be sprung. I think I already said that last week. So it is really nice to go into spring. I don't know if I said this last week, but I never remember what I say on this pod. So if I'm repeating myself, just go ahead and tap on through until I say something new. I love spring. Okay, I love spring. Spring indicates flowers and bunnies, little rodents on everything. You know, if you show up at TJ Maxx during the spring, everything has a floral print that is dainty and cute and wonderful. And everything's got some kind of rodent on it. It's usually bunnies. You know, there's something to do with bunnies in the spring. And it's associated with Easter for whatever reason. There's eggs and bunnies. Do bunnies even lay eggs? That's actually a good question. And I'm gonna search it up because, yeah, that's how I am. Do bunnies lay eggs? No, bunnies do not lay eggs. Rabbits are placental mammals, meaning they give birth to live young after a gestation period of about 30 days. Damn. Could you imagine only having to be pregnant for 30 days? That sounds amazing. Okay? That's, the whole pregnancy is what really holds me back from having kids, even though I do not want kids and I never have and I likely never will. I am running out of time to decide, but I think I'm leaning like 99% towards not having them. But being pregnant for 9-10 months, girl, why in the fuck would you ever want to do that? I don't understand. And it's always like a pregnant woman will always tell you, being pregnant, like something they never tell you about being pregnant is like the sickness, It's like you're always sick and your body's changing so much and you don't know what to do. Like they just never tell you that. I think that's all they tell you. I've never heard a positive review about being pregnant or having children, being a parent. Not one 5-star review have I ever heard. Ever. Okay? When I think of pregnancy, I think of all the things that women have ever said about it and that it's horrible and awful and your body hurts and you're craving weird foods, like you be eating pickles with cookie butter all day long. You have no choice. It's your body, it's not your choice. The baby is running your life. It's making you eat weird shit. It's making you cry or be angry. It's like it's a demonic possession of sorts. Okay? And so when I think of being pregnant, I think of all of those things. And then when I talk to a pregnant person, you're like, you know what they never tell you? That's crazy because that's all I've ever heard. I heard it's horrible, girl. And I'm not interested. I'm just not interested, No offense to those who have been pregnant, those who want children. I understand that. And no offense to you. Okay? I'm not trying to be a downer here, but never heard a good review about being pregnant. So, Yeah, I don't know why I got off onto that tangent after Googling if bunnies lay eggs. So yeah, I guess I don't know what the whole situation is with bunnies and eggs for Easter, which is like a zombie apocalypse of sorts. You know what I mean? It's like zombie Jesus type shit. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that because I have a better topic, which is even more spooky, low-key hilarious and embarrassing, which is the Salem witch trials. Okay, so here's a little backstory on my end. I have been very interested in trying to really get into connecting with my ancestors. Okay, I did 23andMe a while ago. I'm sure that there's a clone of me somewhere because of that. I know something happened with 23andMe and they took all our DNA and I probably cloned it. Does there need to be more than one of me? No, no. That's why this podcast is called Insufferable, bro. We do not need more than one of me. It's not necessary. But the situation is, I know a little bit about my ancestry, okay? And if you couldn't guess, I'm pretty white, okay? I'm pretty much the whitest you can get, to be honest, okay? When you are white, it is difficult to connect with your ancestors, right? Some of this shit I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I know I don't come from a wealthy background, so I don't know if we were doing the whole slavery thing. I don't want to know. I mean, I probably should. It's probably responsible for me to know. But sometimes it's really spooky connecting with your ancestry, okay? So I know a little tiny bit about my ancestry, but I've been practicing a little bit of, witchcraft, if you will, which is really just like an intuitive living. I've been trying to really hone in on that, the woo-woo of it all, okay? And there's a lot of practices within witchcraft that you cannot be doing if you do not have ancestry in those areas, okay? I just recently found out that you can't be using white sage if you do not have a Native American ancestry. And I'm talking like, you can see it on the family tree type shit. You can't be having like, a little sliver of, some kind of, this is stuff that I'm learning actively, okay? You cannot be using white sage if you do not have Native American blood within you, okay? Heard. I will be returning the white sage that I have been using for years without the knowledge. I did not know I was not supposed to use it, okay? By the way, I don't think anybody knows that. You can find white sage at every woo-woo shop in the world. But now that I know, I will be returning the sage to the earth, and I will be cleansing my space with something that aligns more with my ancestry. So I do not ruffle any feathers, okay? That's called respect, girl. That is called respecting people's cultures and ancestries and traditions. Okay? So that is the kind of stuff that I'm learning. And so I'm like, you know what? Like, what is the type of witch that I really want to connect with? An ancestor who's been doing woo-woo shit since the dawn of ages. Okay? And back in the dawn of ages, they did not really like that witchcraft, and we're going to get into it. Okay? So I am pretty much like 80% from London. Okay? Spoiler alert. White as hell. As hell, by the way. And then I've got a little bit of Irish and a little bit of Scottish. More Scottish than Irish. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll connect with like a Celtic witch vibe. Maybe I'll connect with my ancestry in Scotland, in Glasgow. And yeah, so I've been trying to do that. I've been trying to be diligent about it. I'm in my higher education era, which I already started doing a couple of months ago. I've been really interested in tarot and it's just intuitive living and just really diving deep into why we are the way we are. You know what I mean? Sometimes you literally can't explain it away. So I think that it's important that we do that. You know, some people do it via prayer. Some people do it via woo-woo stuff, you know, doing little spells, little rituals and stuff like that. It kind of doesn't matter how you do it. Everything is about intention at the end of the day. When you are connecting with yourself, your lineage, your immediate family, your ancestors, like everything is about intention. So if you put your intention in church, that's fine. Pro tip, tarot was made by a Christian. Okay, I don't know if you've ever seen a tarot card, but there's a lot of Christian imagery in it because it was made by a Christian man. It was directed by a Christian man, and the lady who drew it was also a Christian, I do believe. Don't quote me on that, but I do know that that tarot was created by a Christian who was big in the church. So if you think that tarot is demonic, the call is coming from inside the house, unfortunately. Also, crystals. People said crystals are demonic. Didn't God make crystals? Didn't God make everything on the earth? According to you? You gonna say crystals are demonic? God's up there like, girl, what the hell? I made those, by the way. That's my work. Demonic? Get the hell out of town. By saying stuff like that, like the crystals are demonic, it's like you... I don't know if this is how people think religiously, like if you're a Christian. And no offense, by the way. Do you really think that, like, the devil made some stuff on earth too? I'm talking like earthly elements. I'm talking about grass and plants and rolling hills and sunsets. Do you think the devil had like a little bit of like you think he was co-directing earth with God? And you are here now on earth trying to figure out which ones are good and which ones are bad? You see a crystal, shit's beautiful. I don't know, seems godly to me. But anyway, I forgot what I was at, but yeah, I've been trying to connect with the Celtic witch inside my ancestry, okay? And then I came across this meme, which I'm going to put up on the screen. You guys know I don't like editing, but I am going to insert this meme on the screen because when I saw it, I laughed. And that's kind of how I always have felt about the Salem witch trials. I did not know really a lot about them. I know we all read The Crucible when we were like, I don't know, like in the 7th grade or something. Like everybody makes you read The Crucible. I don't really remember The Crucible that much. I'm not going to read it again because it is sort of like someone was saying, because I've been watching a lot of stuff about the trials earlier this morning. It's just very like, The Crucible's more like a commercialized version of what the trials were really like. So, you know, and I think Winona Ryder, did they make a movie out of The Crucible? And I think it's Winona Ryder. The Crucible. Arthur Miller, 1996 film, The Crucible. Yep. Daniel Day-Lewis and Winona Ryder. Oh. Okay, maybe I will check out that film because I never seen it. Or maybe I did. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway. I lost my train of thought. It's probably the devil seeping in, you know what I mean? Anyway. I started... Oh, the meme. Okay, the meme. That's what... I probably just left it up here this whole time, and here I am like, I forgot where I'm at, and it's like right in front of my face. But I don't see it because that's called post-editing. That's big Hollywood stuff, guys. Anyway, the meme is funny because in my mind, I've always thought of like men being in charge was never a good idea, right? Because they're not so bright, okay? Men are not so bright. And that is no offense to you if you are a man. It's giving I think we could all agree that at some point men in society realized that women had this natural thing called intuition. Okay? They're naturally smart. Their brains work in various different levels all at the same time. And men's brains work in just one patch per time, right? So that's why men get overstimulated like immediately. Okay, women, we live in overstimulating environments, you know, as mothers, working mothers, wives, which is basically being a mother, you know, all that kind of stuff. So women are, they have more capacity in their brains than men. Okay, at some point in the history of humanity, men figured that out, and they were like, okay, we are stronger though. We are bigger, and therefore we can be in control, because low-key we're very jealous. We're very jealous of the mind of a woman. We cannot understand the mind of a woman. We do not work that fast. Our brains do not work that fast. Think of a man in 2026, okay? He's probably like, if you like say a joke to a man, he's like, no wit about him. You know what I mean? Like, there are like male comedians, right? Men who like are naturally funny or whatever. I'm talking like your average man. I'm talking your average blue collar man with no sense of humor. Okay, you can't banter with them because it doesn't process that fast in their brains, right? And honestly, if you say a joke to a man, they're literally like in real time trying to assess if you're making fun of them or not. Because that's the one thing a man does not want, is to be made fun of. Okay, he does not want to be embarrassed. That is why if you embarrass a man, he'll just kill you. Yeah, unfortunately, that is a knee-jerk reaction that men are known for. Like, literally, that is their legacy, is being very violent and like super weird, to be honest, like just super weird. Okay, so when I saw this meme, I don't know if I'm going back. When I saw this meme, I was thinking like, damn, bro, the Salem witch trials were literally caused by a man not understanding like literally anything and just blaming the whole situation that they don't understand on like women being witches. Okay, eventually there were some men who were accused of being witches as well, and they were put to death, like many other women. But that meme got me fucked up because I was like, damn, bro, like they really couldn't figure out like the whole like witch trial. And do not quote me, this is not a history lesson, okay? I have been listening to various different documentary style YouTube videos all morning about the witch trials, okay? So I know a very basic understanding of the trials, and I wanted to use the opportunity of the witch trials to talk about how like literally dumb men are. Like, I'm talking like the brain does not process, and that's why this meme is so funny, because like a man in 1692 would be absolutely crushed by a sleight of hand trick. You know what I mean? You know, like when magicians do like sleight of hand tricks, like when they reach behind your ear and pull out a coin, and it's like, you just pulled that out of your. If you did that to a man in 1692, he's burning you at the stake because he does not understand that, first of all, that's a joke. Okay, it's supposed to be fun and whimsy. I'm just doing like a sleight of hand magic trick. And now you're accusing me of being a witch, and there's no way for me to prove that I'm not, because the rules, the list of things that you could do as a person that would get you accused of being a witch is fucking hilarious, and men should feel embarrassed. Men should feel embarrassed for executing, what was it, like 20 something, like 30 people maybe, Hold on, let me see. Number of convictions, 30 people were convicted of being a witch. Okay, executions, 19. Okay, 19 people executed for the dumbest shit ever. For the dumbest shit ever, because a couple little girls were fucking sick. And you, a male doctor, couldn't diagnose them. So you ran with the witch thing? It's crazy, dude. That's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. And that still rings true to this day, dude. If you are an evil person and you do not understand something, you go straight to violence. And you say, I can't understand this. I'm embarrassed that I don't understand this. So I'm going to make this a bigger deal than it needs to be. I don't need to look inward and maybe study more because I'm a doctor and there's a sick child whom I can't help, right? Instead of being like, okay, we need to really figure out what's wrong with this little girl. We're going to take what she says, okay? There's literally like, the court would accept evidence of some little kid just saying that you basically astral projected into their home and was like pinching them. That was valid evidence, okay? Talk about hearsay. Talk about hearsay. A child, a 5-year-old child, that's where you're getting your evidence from? Children, unfortunately, and no offense if you're a child, are widely known for not knowing a lot, right? They haven't lived a lot of life. They would also be besmirched by a sleight of hand magic trick, right? The children and the men of 1692, you could literally hold up a sheet and then put the sheet down and hold up the sheet, put the sheet down, hold up the sheet, run away and drop the sheet and you're not there anymore. You're getting killed if you do that. You're getting burned at the stake. How could you disappear in that way? The children and the men were on the same wavelength up here, okay? And the women are fucking taking care of everything, dude. Popping out mad kids, dude. So many kids. They're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing the housework, they're gardening, they're taking care of their livestock. Like there's crops, there's fucking. And the men are doing what? They're at the fucking courthouse making new laws for some shit that doesn't even fucking make any sense or doesn't even fucking matter. Men weren't even fucking doing anything, okay? They were literally wearing wigs and blush and doing like just, dude, useless shit. Useless shit. If they didn't have wives, they would be lost, okay? So anyway, as I'm this morning listening to a documentary style video about the Salem trials, they got to this part where it was July. So the witch trials lasted from February of 1692 to May of 1693. So a little bit over a year worth of them accusing people of the dumbest shit you've ever fucking heard of. The dumbest reasons. You can't even make this shit up. It's so stupid. I'm trying to find like a thread of like reasons that people got accused of being a witch. And it's literally like shutting a door too hard, like slamming a door. Apparently you were possessed by the devil if you got like mad in an argument, you slammed a door. Okay? If you were sarcastic at all with your language, witch, burn them at the stake, witch. And now, once you've been accused of a witch, you cannot convince anyone that you're not. The only way to spare your life is to confess that you are a witch. Okay? and then they'll spare your life. If you confess if you say that you're innocent, you're a God-fearing woman, you have nothing to do with this. I did slam a door that one time, but it was not a demonic thing. I am not, you will literally lose your life if you insist that you are not a witch. Okay? If you were like, yes, I am a witch. I sometimes do spells. I have little meetings in the forest with the other witches. And so please spare my life. They would say, okay, thank you for confessing. We knew we were right, stupid ass men. They needed the validation that their idea wasn't fucking stupid and embarrassing. So the women finally found out, like, if you just confess that you're a witch, then they will spare your life. They won't burn you at the stake. Okay, they're not gonna burn you at the stake. But if you try to say you're not, they will. Okay, kind of counterintuitive, if you don't mind me, saying. But yeah, if you confess, then allegedly you have the capacity to heal from that. You can be saved by God or Jesus or whoever is involved in stopping the witchcraft of it all. So, but in order to be saved, in order for them to spare your life, you have to rat out another witch. You have to name names. You have to be a snitch. And since nobody was a witch, in Salem, Massachusetts at least, nobody was a witch, so people were just making shit up to have their life spared. Okay? Here I am, I'm Jenny, and they have accused me of being a witch because I said, oh yeah, I love mashed potatoes, but everybody knows I don't love mashed potatoes. But I said I did, and my husband was like, you hate mashed potatoes. And they were like, oh my God, the sarcasm, she's a witch. She pretended to like potatoes. Witch. Okay? So here I am, Jenny. I'm accused of being a witch over the potatoes comment that I made last week at the town hall. Okay? I said, you know what? I know the trick. Sure, I'm a witch. I don't like potatoes, and I said I did. How dare I? Please spare me. And they say, we will spare you. Thanks for being honest. We are going to need you to rat out another witch. And so you're racking your brain over, like, who's, like, your nearest neighbor? Like, who's a lady that you don't really like, low-key? That's what it really turned into. In the span of a year and 3 months, it turned into you being able to accuse people of being a witch just based on the fact that you don't even like them, dude. It's all petty at that point. It's getting petty. Very, very petty. Okay, maybe you were accused of a witch, you're not. Okay? Nobody really was in those days. Okay? In Salem, they were not witches. Or in my opinion, they're not. I don't know the full scope of the evidence here. But I'm not a lawyer or attorney or anything. But oh fuck, I lost my train of thought again. I can't be going off on tangents, right? Because I can't really get back on track usually. Oh, you're accused of a witch, okay? And your husband, who knows you're not a witch, is like, hey, low key, we know if you just confess, they'll spare you. And they are going to ask for a name. You are going to have to rat on somebody. And here is the tea girl, her gay ass husband. Here is the tea girl. I really want to obtain the Johnson's property, or the Wilson, the whoever's property. I want to obtain their property. I've been trying to get it for years, okay? But they've owned it this whole time. They are, they inherited that property, whatever. Okay. If you snitch on Phil's wife and say that she's a witch, She's not going to confess being a witch. She's so godly. She's going to really hold till the very end. She is going to be like, she is not going to confess. She is too godly of a woman to confess or even pretend like she's a witch, okay? So they will surely execute her. Because as we know, if you don't confess, they are going to execute you. If you do confess, they'll spare your life. You got a rat on someone, and then you have to be rehabilitated in some kind of prison. Okay? So you and Jenny and her husband are now conspiring on who to rat out as a witch so that they can then obtain their property, right? Because if what's his name wife dies, okay, if Phil's wife gets executed for being a witch because she wouldn't admit to it, he can't keep up the property, right? He can't take care of the kids. We all know men, especially in those days, they probably didn't even know how to fucking change a diaper. They can't take care of the livestock. They don't know how. They can't cook their own meals. They can't do anything without their wives. So if the wife dies, the man's going to have to move out of the house. Who's swooping in to buy the house? Phil. Yeah. And his wife is still alive because they ironed out a plan on her to confess, and see how it just doesn't fucking work, dude. The whole situation was so dumb, and it really turned into like a land grab, like a cash grab of it all. Okay. So anyway, as I was listening this morning to a bunch of these documentaries, there was a date in July. Yes. June 30th, there was a grand jury endorsed indictments against the following people: Sarah Good, Susan Martin, Elizabeth Proctor, John Proctor, Martha Carrier, Sarah Wilds, Dorcas Hoare, and Elizabeth Howe. Howe. I don't know if you're catching on, but that's my last name, girl. Are my ancestors part of the Salem witch trials? What the hell? I think they are, because Elizabeth Howe, okay, of course, as soon as I heard that, I'm literally doing my hair after the shower and I'm listening on this. And it names off all these fucking people who got executed on July 19th of 1692. Okay, after they were accused of being witches for the dumbest fucking reasons ever. I'm gonna tell you Elizabeth's story real quick. They were all found guilty. Okay. Why? Because they all denied the accusations that they were not witches, and that got them killed inevitably. Okay. They were all hanged in the town square. Okay. So basically, Elizabeth, I forgot what I was saying before that, of course. It's the devil creeping in. Anyway, Elizabeth Howe is from Yorkshire. Where is Yorkshire? Let me, England. Okay. This is my ancestor. I fear this is my ancestor. Because like I just said, my genealogy says I'm mostly from London, and which is in England. London is the capital of England. I'm sorry, I'm not really into geography. I'm getting into it though, because I'm in my higher education era right now. Okay. So Elizabeth, I forget what her maiden name was, but she was from Yorkshire. Okay. She then immigrated to Massachusetts, where she met a man named James Howe. Okay. Probably my 10th great grandfather. Okay, I'm assuming. I don't really know. I am going to find out though, and I will report back. So she immigrated to Massachusetts, Salem. Very unlucky, I would say. And she married this man named James Howe. Okay. They had 6 children. 6 children. Okay. That's probably why I don't want children. I think my ancestors had enough. You know what I mean? They did the brunt of the work for me. I don't want to have to do that now. Okay? I'm breaking the generational curse of having children, I fear. Anyway, she moves, she gets married, she has 6 kids. Okay? She's living in Salem. Okay? There is a young girl in the town who is sick. Okay? That's what spawns all of the accusations. If there is a young girl who gets sick and the dumbass male doctor doesn't know what's wrong with her, he starts accusing everyone of being a witch. Okay? And the girls are accusing people, saying that they're coming to them like premonitions of them and they're pinching them and poking them and all that kind of stuff. Okay? These young girls. Okay? 10 years old. Who believes a 10-year-old? Anyway. So next door to the Howes, Elizabeth and James Howe, and all their 6 fucking kids, was a family called the Purleys. Okay, I can't remember everyone's name or whatever. I remember how many kids they had. But the Purleys lived next door. Allegedly, the Purleys were related to the Howes in some way. Like, I think that James's brother or James's sister, I can't remember. Because the story said that it was Elizabeth's sister-in-law was the Purley that lived next door. Okay? They got in a falling out over some shit. I don't remember what they said in the documentary. Because I went and looked up shit about Elizabeth Howe, like on the side. Aside from the documentary. She's left out of the Crucible, by the way, which everyone's pretty pissed about. Historians are like, wow, you didn't even mention Elizabeth Howe, whose story is fucking tragic, by the way. So, basically, she is like beefing with her neighbor, who is, I think, her sister-in-law or something like that. Okay? They beef over something like probably fucking potatoes or something. It's really petty. It's super, super petty, and they stop getting along. They used to be really close, and then they stop getting along. They have a bit of a falling out. Okay? Miss Purley decides that she's going to basically coach her young daughter into saying that Elizabeth is a witch and she's coming to her in her dreams and making her sick. And Miss Purley's like, oh no, I guess my arch nemesis suddenly is haunting my child. And I don't know, in this climate that I'm currently living in, I know that if I say she's a witch, they're going to fucking execute her. And it was all literally a lie. Her daughter wasn't even sick, I don't think. She was just fucking saying, like, all you have to do is plant the seed. In 1692, all you have to say, and it only has to be to one person that you kind of, sort of, maybe just a little tiny bit, kind of not really, but still kind of suspect blank of being a witch. And then it's over. It's absolutely over for that person. Okay? That's the power of the accusation in these days. Okay? And all the men were way in over their heads. All the judges and the juries and everybody was just like, I guess it's the witch thing. I don't really know what else it could be. It has to be the witch thing. We have to put these women to death. It's so crazy. So the Purley bitch literally is like, I don't know. I think Miss Howe is a witch. I don't know. It seems like maybe she is. My daughter had said something in passing about her like haunting her in her dreams, and I think she's a witch. So they come right over and snatch up Elizabeth Howe. They snatch her up along with all these other women that I just named off. All the other women, Sarah Good, Susan Martin, Martha Carrier, all of these women. Okay. And I think, I don't know if the Proctors were on here as well. I can't remember. No, it was just 5 women, including Elizabeth Howe, my great grandmother, I think. I don't know. Don't quote me. I might be, it's kind of scary, if anything, to be connected to this tragedy in this way. History is full of tragedies, by the way, and it was all caused by men, by the way. But yeah, dude, diving into the ancestry is kind of spooky sometimes. So anyway, on July 19th in 1692, my Meemaw, Elizabeth, and 4 other women were hanged in the town square for saying that they weren't witches, which is kind of lame. So yeah, that has all been a revelation to me. I will be looking into any connections that I do have. When I watched the YouTube on it, and yeah, the whole thing about Elizabeth is that there were several, I wouldn't say several, because I don't know, the population was pretty small, and a couple of people came forward at the court hearing to advocate for her and say, she is a godly woman. By the way, we know her and we know she is not a witch. There's no way. She has 6 kids. Her husband is, a good guy in the town or whatever. There's no indication that she's a witch. Unfortunately, that pearly bitch kind of planted the seed that she was, and now she can't disprove it. But in court, you could have somebody come up and say well, I don't think she is, for the following reasons. And everybody said she was a good mom. She had all these crops and all of these farm animals that she took care of, and 6 fucking kids. Can you imagine taking care of a fucking ranch and also 6 kids? That's crazy. And they still executed her ass because she fucking did not want to. She didn't want to say that she was a witch, because she probably wasn't. None of these bitches were witches, dude. None of these bitches were witches. And yeah, there's some really cool stuff on the Wikipedia page too, handwritten notes and stuff. And it's that bitch Abigail Williams. Abigail's the one that started it all. Wait, is it Abigail Hobbs? Was a girl of about 14 to 17 years old when she was arrested for witchcraft on April 18th, 1692, along with Giles Corey, Mary Warren, Bridget Bishop. Prior to living in Salem, she and her family lived in Maine. So yeah, all these people fucking immigrated to Salem, and that was the worst thing they could have ever done, because it was ran by a bunch of really dumb men who could not even fathom a sleight of hand trick. So anyway, that was crazy to discover. And again, I will get back to you if you even care about if I'm related to this woman who wasn't even a witch. The other person that I really I've been scared to dive into with my same last name was General Howe. Okay. How did I find out about General Howe? I talked to us at the sites of New York, Washington, American Battle of Long Island, how he learned the knighthood for his victory. Okay, so I didn't save this little tidbit, but anyway, in Hamilton, the Lin-Manuel Miranda show, there's a line in it that says, General Howe's troops are on the water, or something like that. And I said, did they say General Howe? Just like this morning when they were naming off all these women who got executed and they said Elizabeth Howe. And I rewound it and I said, Howe or Howell? And then I looked it up. It's fucking Howe. That's so crazy. So anyway, General Howe, when I looked it up after I heard it in Hamilton, excuse me, General Howe, there could have been more than one General Howe, I suppose. Basically, what he was known for, in the Hamilton song, they're like, General Howe's troops are on the water. So I guess the situation was someone was coming in. I don't fucking know. I'm sure General Howe was part of the British Army or what. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I wasn't prepared to talk about him. I'm just saying, this is just a story about ancestry and how sometimes it's scary to find out who you're related to, even if it is, 200 years ago or whatever, or, way more than that, I think. Anyway, when I first read about him, it was basically saying that his troops were on the water because someone else was coming in to invade the land. And so his troops were on the water to avoid them getting too close to the shore, hopping off and, start doing all this weird shit. Colonizers, how they do. And what he was known for, he was a general, which whatever that means, I don't really know about rankings. But what he was known for was driving or taking his little boat and boating up like a canoe and going up to each of their battleships of sort. I mean, they probably weren't battleships, but the opposing people. He canoed right up to them and literally just had a conversation with each of the ships or boats or whatever they were in, and was basically like, hey, we don't have to do this. This is so dramatic. We don't have to do a whole fucking, battle right now. Kill a bunch of your guys, kill a bunch of our guys. Let's just call it truce. Don't fucking come onto the shore and start all this drama. What do you say? And then one boat was like, you know what? Okay, we'll stop. And then he would paddle up to the next boat and say, hey, I just talked to your homie back there. We've decided it's a truce. You guys aren't going to invade on our land right now and cause all this drama. What do you say? And then they were like, the homie said that? And General Howe was like, yeah, dude, it's called negotiation. I'm trying to de-escalate. So he de-escalated and he went up to all the boats himself while his guys sat, closer to the shore, and basically defended the land. And General Howe went and, negotiated verbally with the opposing team. Okay. I don't know if that's for sure an accurate story. That is what I read when I first looked him up. Okay. He looks insane, dude. Low key, he looks crazy. But, England, United Kingdom. Okay. He was born in 1729. And yeah, I guess he was known for that whole negotiating tactic, that he was a superb leader and brilliant tactician. That's the word. A supremely courageous soldier with one of the most successful military officers in the early years of the Revolutionary War. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I might watch a little thing about him next because I'd like to know. Oh, there's a whole YouTube on him right here, Commander-in-Chief. Yeah, so that's another ancestor with my, last name that I hope was actually a chill guy. A chill guy who smoked a pipe and he just happened to be in the military because that's just what you did back in the day. Okay? You're just not just a farmer. Everyone was getting recruited into the military, whether you liked it or not, because there was always a battle to fight. So, you know, um, but yeah, I think that the overarching theme of the Salem witch trials was just, and I forgot to talk about this at the beginning of my rant here about the trials, but it was just a mass hysteria. The town of Salem was so fucking paranoid that the devil would take over in some way. If anything happened that they deemed to be weird, whether it was sleight of hand tricks with, fucking little magician fun shit, or dancing, or enjoying your life, like, you had to be so God fearing that, like, anything that was like fun or just like innovative, what just had to be the devil. And that's probably had a lot to do with why those girls were getting sick. There was this whole like side theory that the girls were eating moldy bread, and the moldy bread, after you eat mold so many times, like it could cause you to hallucinate or whatever. And I think that's a funny and likely scenario of why these girls were sick. Were they hallucinating? Who knows? They could have been lying. They were children. Children are not known for telling the truth. They're not known for being smart. You know what I mean? They just be making shit up. We know that about kids. So we can't be trusting them. Okay? And they fucking caused a whole goddamn 19 people to be executed and 30 people to be convicted of witchery, when really they were just fucking having a good time. Doing a little card trick here and there. But the overarching like energy of the town was very paranoid. Like, in every documentary that I watched, like, that was the main overarching situation of the town of Salem, Massachusetts, and probably many other towns. I just didn't, I was just talking about Salem, where I was looking up Salem. Everybody was hella fucking paranoid all the time. All the time. That the devil was coming in to get them. And you can really stress out so bad that you be having physical symptoms. You be getting hives and shit just because you're stressed. Imagine being a kid in Salem and all of the people who you are supposed to be learning from, like, people are supposed to be smarter than you, you're supposed to be learning from them. They're trying to tell you that there's fucking demons and devils everywhere, and you need to be on edge all the time. You need to make sure that the demons don't get you when you're sleeping at night. You're probably losing sleep. Everyone's probably losing sleep in this town. The religious psychosis of it all really caused pretty much every single person in the town to have an extreme level of paranoia. And that is probably what caused everyone to jump on the accusation train. They wanted to have a reason to be paranoid. They wanted a solid reason to actually, like, explain the mysteries of these girls' sickness, okay? And the doctors just didn't have it. They was not smart enough, the male doctors, okay? They were not diagnosing people with anything that serious. Well, I mean, they probably were. There's probably, like, lots of sickness going around because, like, everybody was sick. There was viruses everywhere, whatever. But just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean it's fucking otherworldly. So calm the fuck down. But yeah, we can't be, paranoia will really go a long way in a negative connotation. So I think that's probably a huge explanation about what happened. And then once they had like low-key figured out that we can't burn people forever, to be honest. Like, we can't be hanging people. We can't accuse people. Like, we don't think the witch thing, we think it was a fluke. We think the witch thing might have been a fluke. And a lot of the, like, upper people who did the convicting and the actual killings and executions, they came out later and they were literally like, we're sorry. We're sorry. I don't know how else to tell you. 5555. We don't know how else to tell you that we're sorry. I mean, we can't bring all of those women back. You know, we did already burn them at the stake. And we see now that we were wrong in thinking it was a witch thing. You know, might have just been a common cold. And we're sorry. And there was one guy in particular that was like, no, we did the right thing. We still didn't solve anything. Nothing was solved. But I don't regret burning all those bitches. And so fuck him. I forgot what his name was, but there was one guy who he did not feel bad at all. But most of the people involved felt really bad. And they were like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Let's stop. And then there was a whole cover up of it. Okay. They kind of like, I don't know, reconstructed the area in which it happened. So like now historians are trying to locate the exact place where all of these people were hanged and burned. And you can't really, because they kind of took it out of the documents, I think. There was a whole cover-up situation. I can't really remember what they said. Like, towards the end of the documentary, they talk about the cover-up. But John Proctor was one of the only men who was accused and killed for being a witch. I think his wife was as well. And they made him go last. They had, like, done a lot of executions on his day. And they hung all these people and made him watch. I mean, there's like 10 people ahead of him, and he had to watch them all get hanged. And by the way, they were doing short hangings, which basically means like they literally are like just hanging. It's basically strangulation at that point. Like hanging is when like in other hangings or whatever. I mean, they're all fucking horrible. But a lot of them, they would be like high up. So when they dropped down to be hung, they usually like it would break their neck, and then they would get the hanging would happen after that. But this was just a strangulation. They didn't break their necks. They didn't, you know, either way, it fucking sucks, to be honest. I hate talking about hanging. It's so fucking eerie and scary. But these people were taking like 10 minutes to pass away because they were literally just being strangled. And this guy, John Proctor, had to watch all these people do that. You know what I mean? 40 minutes worth of hangings, watching all these people die, and then now it's your turn. And he did get executed by hanging. So, yeah, this whole situation was fucking horrible. Oh, that's what it was. A historian who is a descendant of John Proctor spent like her whole career trying to locate his body among other people who were executed in this in the Salem witch trials, so that they could be given like a proper burial. But somewhere in the history, and the town changing and shit getting built and shit getting like, changed around and renovated and everything. Like at a certain point, they like lost contact or lost like information on where this all exactly happened. And I do understand there is a general area in which it happened, and historians have kind of figured out where all these people were buried. But they soon found out that even if this was the area in which everyone was buried here, then at this point in history, you know, like now, like current, like modern times, 2026, if we were to dig that up, their bodies probably wouldn't be there, because so many things have been like broken down and built here since then. You know, 1692 is kind of a while ago. So their bodies probably aren't there anyway, their remains and everything. So, you know, the likelihood of them ever locating their loved ones' remains so they could give them proper burial is very low. So that's kind of what they were saying at the end of this one documentary that I was watching, about historians and how they're trying to figure out, they're trying to piece together what happened. And they pretty much found out that there was a cover up going on. The government covered it up because everybody kind of realized after a while, like, damn, this is kind of fucked up. These reasonings that we're accusing people of being witches are like really dumb. So yeah, that was everything I learned about these Salem witch trials this morning. And yes, there was a woman named Elizabeth Howe who may or may not be a descendant of mine. Or not a descendant, or I don't even know the fucking word for that. Could have been related to her. And, you know, RIP, dude. RIP to all these people who were burned or hanged for no fucking good reason, for saying some fucking comment about potatoes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, it's just, also, if you're a woman who had like money, which, if you're a woman who is like stable and funny and like outgoing, which, burner. And once you've been accused, there's no way to prove you're not. And that's the whole that's when they figured, like, they came to terms with the fact that they were like, we're not even giving people like there was a law. And they took the law away at some point, but there was a whole influence, reestablishment authority, post-charter, general pardon, repeal of the 1692 law allowing for quick persecution of witches. So there was literally a whole ass law written that said, if they're accused, just fucking quick, get them out of here. We can't afford to be having the devil roaming around our little town. You know, because they were so fucking scared of the devil. And yeah, dude, so they had to repeal that law. Apparently Governor William Phipps, I guess was, you know, instrumental in repealing that law, and giving people a proper trial with actual evidence, by the way, not from some 5-year-old who's being groomed by the very lady that you have beef with. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. So shout out to him, William Phipps. This is 1693, 94 or whatever, I think, when he came in and repealed that law. He probably did bad stuff too. So maybe not shout out to William Phipps, but at least he repealed that law. It's kind of nice of him. But yeah, dude, there is child accusers. They were really burning people at this day because children were accusing people of tickling them in their sleep or whatever, or like pinching them or like stabbing them or something. I don't know, dude. Kids are crazy. And they started this whole thing. And in 1692, men and children had the same brain capacity, unfortunately. And because of that, a lot of women were killed and left behind children and farms and ranches and husbands and all of the like. So RIP to all of those people, men and women, who were affected by the Salem witch trials, which is so crazy that it only lasted a year and 3 months. 200 people were accused, 30 were convicted, 19 were executed. That's so crazy. So anyway, that's going to do it for me today, you guys. Thanks for sticking through this very historical lesson while I dive deep into my ancestry. And hopefully there are some good people in the lineage somewhere. You know, when you're white, you never know. So anyway, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 42 of Insufferable with me, your host, Lindsay Howe. And I will see you next week. Bye.